Serious, what are some of the creepiest declassified documents made available to the public? There was a declassified Soviet program where the military tried to use rabbits to psychically communicate between submarines. It was based on the premise that a mother rabbit reacts strongly when one of its offspring is killed violently, even if the mother rabbit is miles or hundreds of miles away. The program involved keeping the mother rabbits at a land-based station and killing the baby rabbits in the submarine. Message content was determined by the frequency and the strength of the reaction from the mother rabbit, which was supposedly dependent on the violence of the death. The documents were declassified a while ago, but only translated in 2016. The creepiest fact is that even the most horrible declassified files are just small part of the documents that came to light. Too many facts went down the drain. The Nanking Massacre photos. My grandpa co-worker wrote a book about it, and it was too much for him. He killed himself. Almost every Chinese writer who wrote about the massacre have killed themselves. The WikiLeaks documents about Prism and about the smart device hacking methods along with how to set said devices into a false off mode. How about the Filmarillion? There was this user on 4chan called UTV who frequented the sports page and made lots of posts. Just normal posts too. Nothing controversial. Anyway, he had a stalker known as the Archiver who would follow and comment every single post of UTV. After a while UTV would get sick of these comments and he'd tell him to get lost. But the Archiver would just respond to them too. Eventually he started posting his own compilations of the interactions he had with UTV all over the sports page. His final post was him confessing that the people in his life found out about his obsession and he is now being monitored. But before he goes offline he wanted to share his Filmarillion, a 92-page document of everything he had ever made to do with UTV. And he requested that it be for UTV's eyes only. Of course that didn't stop people from opening it. Inside were post compilations of UTV's posts. Posts superimposed onto 3D models. Extensive poems and sonnets. A detailed description of how their life together would be. And how UTV's funeral would pan out. I'm pretty sure there were real life details about UTV in there as well. Upon release of the document, UTV's only response was, and he contacted the police and went into hiding. How the government made it illegal to expose the government for the illegal things they have done. The JFK assassination documents never fully being released as they keep getting pushed back. The documents themselves are creepy in the sense of how contradicting they are. But what makes it truly creepy is the full release keeps getting pushed back. Anything involving Japan's Unit 731 during WWII. It was a military chemical and biological warfare division that experimented on POWs. Operation Northwoods. Proposed false flag attacks against American civilians targets carried out by the CIA and blamed on Cuba in 1962. Thankfully JFK said frick no and shut that poop down. There is a list somewhere on web of the last words of inmates punished by death in Texas. Gay bomb. It was a weapon speculated by the USA in the 90s that, when dropped, would release pheromones which would make the enemy attracted to each other. Edit, spelling. MKUltra. The CIA performing illegal experiments on Americans to try to develop mind control. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was subjected to grueling degrading psychological experiments while he was an underage student at Harvard. The Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the African American community. Yes. The CIA has a heart attack gun. There's one where the CIA essentially was researching astral projection and its possible applications for espionage. I think there was a lot of creepy things that came out when the East German Stasi files were released after the Berlin Wall fell. All citizens were allowed to view their own files, and many were shocked to find out that their own relatives were informing on them, because they had no choice, and various other things. A good movie about this is called Other People's Lives. Edit. I got the name of the movie wrong. It's The Lives of Others. Operation Mockingbird. It was an operation to manipulate the media for propaganda purposes. But they ended it a long time ago. Honest. In late 2017, cables between the US Embassy in Jakarta and the State Department were declassified that casually tracked the massacres of the PKI that took place in Indonesia between 1965 and 1966. Other declassified documents also reveal that a US Embassy employee gave a list of suspected communists to the Indonesian army. And all 5,000 people on the list were rounded up and killed, with many tortured. In the end, between 500,000 and 3 million people were executed. The casual indifference to political genocide expressed by us government employees is chilling. Edit. Spelling edit 2. Word change for clarification edit 3. I was off by a couple months. There is a famous alien sighting history in a city called Varginha here in Brazil, and the city is mostly known for that particular incident in 1996. A couple of years ago, Brazil's National Archive made public documents that state UFO sightings from civilians and military that dates 25 years before the incident. My university has exchanged letters with Hitler about how they agree with Hitler about the use of eugenics. I believe the letters are in some of the archives in one of our libraries. The speech prepared for Nixon if the moon landing had failed. Going from memory here. But I remember something along the lines of "the men who landed on the moon tonight will stay on the moon to rest in peace." Gave me all the chills. It may or may not be documented, but is still creepy knowing this. Back during the Cuban Missile Crisis, a U.S. Navy ship was sending depth charges towards a hidden Soviet submarine. The men in the submarine thought war had broken out, and a vote was held whether or not they should take down the ship with a nuclear torpedo. Two captains need to approve in order for the attack to happen. Both captains had approved, but a third man, Vasily Arkhipov, was given a vote as well. He voted no on the attack. Since the vote had to be unanimous, the attack was off the table. Creepy as frick when you realize how much power men have to be able to destroy the world. The Tuskegee study comes to mind. The study, which ran from 1932 to 1972 by the US Public Health Services, infected poor African Americans with syphilis to see how the disease naturally evolves. Those who took part in the study thought they were receiving free medical care. Get this. None of those who were infected were treated with penicillin despite its known effectiveness. The study stopped when a government employee blew the whistle. The Russian tsunami nuclear torpedo. They are still building them today. Operation Northwoods. America wanted a better shot at destroying Cuba, especially after the Cuban Missile Crisis. Bay of Pigs invasion was terrible. So the plan? Fake a terrorist attack planned and carried out by CIA operatives and frame Cuban citizens' government agencies. Then America will be bound to support the destruction of Cuba. JFK vetoed this suggestion. He then tried to disassemble the CIA and fired the director. JFK was then killed, and the fired CIA director went back to his job and took the lead on JFK's assassination. There are profound similarities with 9/11. The government didn't like certain Middle Eastern countries. Wanted to go to war. The public didn't. Terrorist attack happens. America goes to war. Frightening. Paradise Papers. Everyone disregards them, but they pretty much call out every single top 0.00001% wealth and super high power elites in the world for being involved with terrorists, child trafficking, money laundering, you name it. If you haven't given them a read, some of your favorite politicians may surprise you. Edit guys, these people the papers mention are not the ones committing acts such as terrorism and trafficking. However, if you go and read them, they strongly link the organizations these people place their money in, launder their money through. to organizations that have links to these crimes. On December 5, 1965, a Rus aircraft carrying a nuclear weapon on board the aircraft carrier USS Ticonderoga fell into the Philippine Sea during a training exercise. The pilot, aircraft, and nuclear weapon was never recovered.
Hi there. Look, if you enjoyed the video, well, why not go ahead and hit that like and subscribe to Reddit Stories. In fact, if you want to see even more responses to this thread, well then, take a look. There's the link in the description below. And remember, show some love to those authors while you're there. And I look forward to seeing you next time.